folks. Welcome back to my channel, and welcome to a new show called Rewinder, where we take a look back at some of the movies that people have asked me to do over the years. The Fox X-Men series has come a long way, but it just had its 20th anniversary from their original film. So we're going to take a look back at that original film today, and joining me today is my good friend Robert Storms. How you doing today?
I rewatched X-Men last night.
Yes, you did.
And I apologize for all the negative things I said in the past.
Well, this movie actually has a very interesting history because the original script for this was written by Andrew Kevin Walker, who wrote Seven and who wrote Sleepy Hollow. And it's interesting because his original script featured Wolverine as a side character, but the X-Men were the original X-Men from the comics. You had Iceman and Beast and
Angel.
Marvel Girl and Angel. Yeah, like you had the original X-Men in there. All right. But Laura Donner and her team, they were like, no. They wanted more of the popular characters. And they
sort of like the 92 X-Men?
Yeah, like they wanted Wolverine to play, and they wanted Wolverine to be the central character because Wolverine was popular in the animated series.
Yeah.
Because of that, Walker stepped away. His script was completely scrapped altogether, and they went to Ed Solomon and Christopher McQuarrie, who wrote another script, which would be rewritten later by David Hayter.
My man.
Yes, your man David Hayter, because as we all know, David Hayter can do no wrong.
He can't. Unless you're Hideo Kojima and you fire him from Metal Gear because you're an asshole. But, well, you know, I digress.
Respect. All right, but it's funny because the novelization of X-Men, this was released. This is the novelization of the original movie, and it was released before the movie, before David Hayter did the rewrites. So this is based off of Ed Solomon and McQuarrie's script. And there's a lot more dialogue between Wolverine and Sabretooth in this. And I'm going to say this right off the bat. Thank God it was cut because that dialogue was bad. Like there is literally a moment where Wolverine looks at Sabretooth in this book and goes, "Here, kitty, kitty.
Oh,
you
wow.
smell bad. Someone needs to change your litter box." I'm not kidding.
I was one of those kids who were like, oh my God, I like that movie. There's a book. Let me buy it. And I never read it.
Yeah, but there was one thing in their script that I wish that had been kept in this movie. And that was the opening of it shows the origins for Cyclops, Storm, and Jean Grey. I can't remember offhand what Jean Grey's was, but I remember Storm was being bullied on a playground. She was like 9 years old, and she literally unloaded like this big hurricane on everyone at the school. That's how she discovered her powers. With Scott Summer, he was like 12, 13 years old. He's at a school dance, and like this girl's rejecting him, and he feels terrible. He goes in a bathroom and just starts unloading. We basically got what they did in Apocalypse.
Okay.
Like pretty much think that only at a school dance and not in a classroom. Yeah. So there were interesting things in there, but I'm glad David Hayter came in to do the script because I'm not going to lie. And I am being real with you because you know, Rob, we keep it real.
Keep it real.
Keep it real. That's right. Respect.
Keep it real.
All right. Until Days of Future Past came out, this was my favorite X-Men film.
Okay.
Until Days of Future Past came out, this was actually my favorite X-Men film for a long time. And that doesn't mean to say I didn't like X2 or X-Men First Class. I really liked them.
Sorry,
right?
so
I
you
liked this
saying that
more.
Last Stand is not on the top of your list?
Last Stand go to hell. Last Stand go to hell and it die. What I love so much about this film is it really had a great focus on the X-Men as a team and them coming together. What the heart of this movie is the relationship between Wolverine and Rogue. And it actually bothers me when people say that they should have used Kitty Pryde or they should have used Jubilee because in all
Jubilee
fairness,
is in the movie.
They did. Yeah, in all fairness, they did basically make Rogue's personality like Kitty Pryde's. In all fairness. But what works about it is that both of them have this sense of isolation. Both of them have this feeling of loneliness, of wondering where they're going to belong, because Wolverine doesn't know his past. He's afraid of getting close to people because he can hurt people.
Yeah.
All right. Rogue literally hurts people. She can't touch anybody.
Yeah.
All right. So it gives these two characters this perfect parallel. It's the feeling of isolation and loneliness, and it's perfect. And their relationship throughout the film is beautifully handled. Like that scene at the end when he saves her and he's holding her body and he starts crying.
Yeah.
Like, I feel that every time I see the film. I know a lot of people like to complain about Sabretooth in the movie. All right. I get it. I get it. Him and Wolverine have a big history, and you won't hear me give a lot of praise to this following movie, but X-Men Origins did it better.
Yeah.
They did it better. Liev Schreiber was a perfect Sabretooth.
Yeah.
All right. So it's weird going back to this one after that perfect performance. I would argue, and just as a fan, I would argue what X2 did to Deathstrike was far worse. Far worse.
Yeah.
What they did to Emma Frost in First Class. Oh, sweet Jesus.
I liked
literally,
Emma
they
Frost
took the White Queen and they were like, okay, yeah, you're in this movie, but you're basically just here to get Sebastian Shaw as Ice.
But they had a horrible actor playing Emma Frost in First Class. They had January Jones. She's not the best actress. She was basically there to look the part and be the sex symbol of the movie.
It's like just sweetheart, just stand there, look pretty, shut up.
Yeah,
you're not doing yourself favors.
Yeah.
So yeah, the Sabretooth thing, after a bunch of other things I've seen in the series, I'm like, you know what? I've seen worse. At least Tyler Mane looks the part.
Yes.
Like, in all fairness, he looks exactly like him.
Yes.
All right, and I will give it this. There are 3 fights between Sabretooth and Wolverine in this movie?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. There's about 2 or 3 fights with them in this movie.
2 for sure, I know for a fact.
They at least gave us that.
Yeah.
Rob, I know that you've had some issues with this movie over the years.
So, yeah.
Even after rewatching it, tell us your thoughts on this.
Here's my thoughts on it. X-Men, I always liked the movie. I seen it in theaters when it first came out. I took my younger brother, went and saw it, loved the movie, loved everything they did with the movie. And that was before I knew basically all the history of the X-Men. And then recently on my show, we talked about it. And I was like, you know what? I think it gets a little too much praise. I don't think it's as good as everybody says it is. You know, I just don't think it aged well over the years. Well, I rewatched it last night, 20th anniversary. I was like, okay, I'm going to do this show with you. Let me go ahead and at least refresh my mind. I can put it on while I'm doing other things. I ended up stopped doing other things and just focusing on the movie. And I will tell you this. It's better than I remembered. I haven't seen this movie in about 10 years. I don't go back and revisit it often. It's been about 10 years since I've seen the movie. And I really, really enjoyed it. And I tell you what, I think it holds up a lot better than even I gave credit for, because I love Daredevil. We went back and recently watched it, and I'm like, look, this does not hold up. The CGI does not hold up. Bryan Singer managed to do a lot of practical effects with this movie, and that's why it holds up so well. When Senator Kelly dies, that effect looks like a effect that is done today. When Wolverine,
it looks great.
When Storm sends Wolverine over the Statue of Liberty and he claws the thing hook on that looked good.
Oh,
go look at something like Daredevil. Daredevil came out a few years after that.
When he gets kicked off the motorcycle, it just looks bad.
The movie holds up very, very well. And at its core, the reason why this movie and X-Men in general is still relevant today is because it's about, human and judging people for being different, whether you're black, white, gay, bi. That's what the core X-Men is about. And what this movie does right for me is it stays true to those sensibilities.
Yep.
The special effects and the fighting. I mean, one thing I did kind of cringe at last night, and I thought it was funny when I was a kid. I watched it. I thought it was funny when he's like, what, do you want us to wear yellow spandex? I thought it was funny because they're making fun of it. But then I'm sitting there thinking, like, after everything we've seen with the MCU being so true to the characters' costumes, I'm like, yeah, you kind of could have done that. It's like, you're not badass because you're going out in 2000,
I think that they were just like, no, we're kind of scared to do that.
Yeah.
So let's play this a little safe.
Yeah. And that's one reason why I like Dark Phoenix, not trying to get off topic, but Dark Phoenix really gave us that Grant Morrison new X-Men costume that shows that if anything, the MCU showed that you can be very true to the costumes and still be a little different. But other than that, I think everything holds up. Yes, the Toad line from Storm is still awful.
So bad.
Sabretooth, I actually dug Sabretooth. The only thing that I hate was the fact that you had that history between him and Logan, and we didn't see it in the movie. But I think, like you said, he looked the part. I'll tell you one thing. I fell in love with Jean Grey all again.
Dude, I'll always be in love with Jean Grey,
and
especially in this movie.
Yeah, I noticed something that I didn't notice watching this movie prior. At the end, when Magneto has the machine going, and again everybody's getting ready to transform, and right as it gets destroyed, you see Jean Grey go, and that's when it activated her Phoenix for the second movie, because they go back to that. It's like, ever since Liberty Island, I haven't been the same, and we see where that affected her. So I was like, oh damn, they tied that in really well. They did, I second you on the Rogue Logan relationship. If they would have made a Kitty Pryde, the story would have been a lot different than what we would have gotten. And I liked Rogue. I liked Rogue in the movie. I liked her story. I liked the story between her and Logan, and like how they are distant from each other, and they can. I loved everything you said about that. The relationship between Charles and Magneto, liked it. Just everything. I didn't give this movie enough credit. Going back and rewatching it, it isn't like a Superman thing where I went back and go, oh well, that movie wasn't as good as I remembered. No, X-Men was actually better than I remembered. So
one thing I thought was so good in this movie, and it's something that, in all fairness, did continue throughout the series, was that this movie the writers remembered that above all else, while they are on opposite sides, Magneto and Xavier are friends.
Yeah.
They are old friends.
Yeah.
All right. They regardless of how different their ideologies are, there will always be that bond and respect for each other. And I thought that especially the chess scene at the end was perfect in showing that. The scene at the beginning where he's like, what are you looking for? I'm looking for hope.
Yeah.
Yeah, like,
I'll give you hope, old friend. Just don't stand in my way.
We are the future, Charles, not them. They no longer matter.
Yeah.
Love it.
But I'll tell you one thing. When they made the sequels and prequels to this movie, they didn't really watch this movie very closely. It's like, I can't get a hold of Magneto. There's something blocking me. I'm like, you didn't know he had that helmet like 30, 20 years ago? You came across. So yeah, when they redid like First Class and they did the Future Past, they really didn't pay attention to that first movie all that much.
No, but yeah, in this, what did you think of Marsden as Cyclops?
I liked him as Cyclops.
I love him.
My biggest problem was never him. My biggest problem was he wasn't the Cyclops that was from the comics. I mean, he's not front and center. He's a side character. We never got that in any of the movies.
This movie was really the only one where they actually had him taking some sort of charge.
Yeah,
because he does take charge when they go to Liberty Island,
and he does. But talk shit to Logan too. He's like, "How do I know it's you? You're a dick." Okay.
Good.
Yeah. Hey, it's me.
Prove it.
You're a dick.
Okay.
Yeah, that's true. But and then in the second movie, he's kind of really on the back seat again. He's barely used. Third movie, we saw what happened to that.
He dies in like the beginning. Yeah. I'm like, what are you doing to my boy?
That's what I'm saying. Like, if Disney wants to do X-Men, do the First Class and have Cyclops be Cyclops.
Please.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
Just give me one movie without Wolverine, please. One. I'm begging you.
Because everybody keeps saying, who's going to be the next Wolverine? Who's going to be the next Wolverine? We do not need Wolverine for 10 years.
We don't.
Like, do not give us Wolverine. X-Men went years before they introduced Wolverine in the comics.
And he didn't even start in X-Men. He started in Hulk.
Yeah, Incredible Hulk. His first appearance in X-Men wasn't until Giant Size X-Men #1 that I used to have, but I don't have it no more, so I digress. But give us like a trilogy with just the main X-Men. Then you can introduce Wolverine and all these other characters, you don't even have to introduce Storm in it, right? You could put Storm in Black Panther and then have her join the X-Men years later.
Absolutely. Because again, she wasn't an original X-Men either.
No, she didn't show up until Giant Size X-Men #1.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Well, one thing I will say that I was very happy they included in this film was the triangle between Wolverine, Cyclops, and Jean Grey.
Yes.
All right, because you can't have those three characters without having that. That is an essential thing. I loved the back and forth between Hugh Jackman and James Marsden.
Yeah.
They just play off each other so well. In this, even in the next one, they're great together.
Yeah.
In the third one, they get one exchange and he dies. So it's like,
but they pay that off at the
Who
end
cares
of
about that
Days of
stupid
Future
movie?
Past, where he's like, Scott, you know,
Yeah.
and it's like,
it's actually good to see you.
yeah, see that's why Days
Yeah.
of Future Past is my favorite, because it wraps up the old trilogy and the new trilogy, and
Exactly.
it's just, to me, it's the perfect X-Men movie.
It
know?
it is to me too. If it wasn't, like, honestly, that is still my favorite X-Men movie. The Rogue cut of Days of Future Past is brilliant. What did you think of Mystique and Toad?
Look, I'm a fan of Ray Park, but I didn't like Toad. I never liked Toad in the comics. I never liked Toad in the. I like Mystique. I like Rebecca Romano's Mystique. I never liked that look of Mystique.
You want the white.
I want the
dress
white
and the
dress,
skulls, yeah.
toting the machine gun with the red hair down.
Fair enough.
You
yeah.
know, I don't want my Mystique to look like she's a fish out of water. You know, and here's the problem, and they really bit themselves in the ass doing it like that. Yes, I know Rebecca Romijn is a model and you wanted to get that look right, but here's the thing, you ended up jeopardizing the character so much because that actor, whoever played it, whether it be Jennifer Lawrence or Rebecca Romijn, had to go through so many hours of makeup every day that it really hurt the screen time later on how much time Mystique could have, to where Jennifer Lawrence was like, I'm not going through this, make me human in a lot of these scenes.
Yeah, that was a big thing in like, she didn't want to go through the makeup.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, at a certain point, you gotta be like, you know what? Yeah, I can't really blame you if you're in it a lot.
Yeah.
I understand why they went with this look, especially like because they got the bumps on her arms and everything.
Yeah,
I'm like, they're trying to make her look more like a chameleon.
Yes.
No, that changes its shape. I'm like, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. No reason she couldn't have clothes, but I mean, like, from the machine gun or being an assassin, but whatever.
Yeah.
The only time, in my opinion, the only time we ever really truly got Mystique from the comics, to me, was Days of Future Past, because she's an assassin.
Yes.
She's literally an assassin that entire movie.
Yes.
She is exactly what we remember her as.
Yeah. She still has that weird look, but yes, she was pretty much what she was supposed to be in the comics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As far as Toad is concerned, again, like you, I love Ray Park. The only time I've ever really liked Toad as a character was in a show called X-Men Evolution.
Yes, I remember that Toad.
Yeah,
I can deal with that.
They actually made him very funny in that.
Yeah.
This Toad, the only time where I can actually say he got a laugh out of me, okay, because he was kind of annoying until this, okay, was when Storm came back up the elevator. He's like, why don't you people ever die?
Yeah.
Like, I love that scene.
Yeah.
All right. But yeah, I was glad when Storm popped him, regardless of how cheesy a freaking line was.
You know, I spent years trying to figure out what
they were talking about. Like, what was that line?
I don't get it. Like, who wrote that line? Like, during filming, and like it was like, what happens to a toe when it's struck by lightning? The same thing as everything else. Oh,
no, I'm gonna look back. I want to see if that's in the book, because if it's not, that means David Hayter wrote it.
I don't believe David Hayter would write something that bad.
No, like that's what's confusing me. I'm like, listen, we all know David Hayter can do no wrong. Okay,
yeah,
so
it's like, what happens to a toe when like, it's a weird line. Like, I spent years going,
same thing that happens to everything else. I'm what?
Yeah.
I don't get it.
You could have said something cooler, like, you ever seen a toe struck by lightning or something, you know? It's like, it's a weird line. And I actually like Halle Berry as Storm. I just hate that line a lot.
No, I don't mind Halle Berry as Storm either. People give her a lot of crap for the accent she has in this one that she would drop in the sequels. Honestly, it didn't really bother me, because it showed me that she was dedicated to the character and she was trying. So that didn't really bother me at all.
Yeah. She actually had a good scene with Senator Kelly right before he passed away too. So she had some good scenes.
Yeah, that was a great scene.
You hate normal people.
Sometimes.
Why?
I suppose I'm afraid of them.
Yeah, as far as the action is concerned, I thought the action in this movie was great. I love the train station scene. I love the Ellis Island fight.
Yeah.
Both of them, I think, are great. Even that opening fight with Wolverine and Sabretooth in the woods in the snow, I thought was really cool.
I think the setup to the beginning of this movie is the most powerful setup to any comic book movie ever, because it shows you right off the bat why Magneto is the way he is.
Yes.
This scene is so good to when they did X-Men First Class, they redid the entire scene again,
and it
shot
looked the same.
shot, but with different actors.
Like it looked just as good.
Yeah, it looks exactly the same. Unless you're like a real film fanatic, you wouldn't even recognize it was different actors because it was shot, basically scene from scene, the same. And it just has a powerful opening to this movie that shows you what we're going to be dealing with and what Magneto's mindset is. Because the best villains are the villains that could be right, True. And you look at Magneto and it's like, he's not technically wrong.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just wanted to throw that in there because I think we would do the movie, injustice if we didn't.
I also think that those are some of the best villains. The villains that feel that they are heroes of their own story.
Yep.
And that's who Magneto is. And Ian McKellen did a great job playing him. Do I think Fassbender was a better Magneto? Yes, I do. I won't lie. In the same sense that I think Ewan McGregor is a better Obi-Wan than Alec Guinness.
You're not wrong.
But yeah, it doesn't mean Alec Guinness was bad, and it sure as hell doesn't mean Ian McKellen's a bad Magneto.
Yeah.
They're great in their own right.
I would just say this in closing, that it's a movie I haven't seen in about 10 years until last night. I wanted to come in with a fresh take, because I know if I didn't watch this movie, I would have come in here going, yeah, it's good, but it's not as good as it used to be. That's why I wanted to rewatch it.
Yeah.
I actually think the movie holds up a lot better than I thought. I really had a great time. What I loved about this movie was the characters. Because they all got character development. Mm-hmm. It wasn't about stopping the world from like a sky beam on a fucking building or an alien invasion. It was a simple story about saving humanity, good mutants versus bad mutants, and what it feels like to be different. So I actually really love the movie, and I definitely recommend it if you haven't seen it in a while to go back and rewatch it.
Awesome. I feel the exact same way. Again, until Days of Future Past came out, this was my favorite X-Men film, and I love the themes of prejudice and the themes of isolation. Everything in this film that it did with the characters I thought was just spot on, and I love the action. I love the acting. I think that it's beautifully shot. Considering that Bryan Singer really hadn't done a lot until that point. Yeah. It's a very well-shot movie. So, and to date, I will say this, it's still one of my favorite comic book films. And, I want to thank the Fox X-Men, because without X-Men, we might not have, we wouldn't have this. We wouldn't have the MCU. We wouldn't have friggin' we may have had Spider-Man. That was in development for a while.
Yeah.
All right. But yeah, this is the one that started it. And I feel like if you haven't seen it in a while, go back and give it a shot, because it may surprise you.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us, guys, for the first episode of Rewinder. I really hope you enjoyed it. We'll catch you next time.
Later, guys.
And until next time, that's Robert Storms, and that's his opinion.
Yeah, that's Robert Storms. Wrong channel, buddy. Wrong channel.